Yo, 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 what's going on? What's happening? What's popping, everybody? It's your dog Toddy checking in on this late post game tonight as the Falcons played in the Sunday night game against the Minnesota Vikings. And we went up there and we got the dub. We went up there on the road, very hostile territory. Young quarterback, his first year starting. We got the dub. We went up to their trap. We took over their trap. Shout out to Bankroll Fresh. Rest in peace. Shout out to my dog Kirk Cousins. Yeah, but hey, man, that's a great victory for the squad, man. I'm gonna jump right into this. We ain't got a lot of time to waste. It's almost midnight here, on the East Coast. But this was really, in my opinion, y'all, like you kind of hate to use the term must-win game in week 2 for your team, but this was the must-win game, I feel, for Atlanta, man, because you did not want to jump in that 0-2 hole. Because, teams in the NFL, you start 0-2, man, the chances are very much against you making it to the playoffs. And I want to see the team get in the playoffs this year. I think there is enough sufficient talent on this team this year to get into the playoffs. So I just didn't want to go into that 0-2 hole. I just didn't want to deal with it. So I did kind of feel like this was somewhat a must-win game, and the team responded. I will say that the team responded. I'm gonna give a shout out, because it's a very significant amount of our fans that really despise Raheem Morris. So I want to start off and give him his props on having these boys ready to play tonight. Because I really felt like we came to the game, we were ready to play. We jumped out on top of them very early. We didn't put the touchdowns, on the scoreboard like we would like to have, but we still jumped out early and we started controlling the game, controlling the pace of the game, for the very most part from the first snap of the first series of the game. The Falcons jumped out and they started putting pressure on Minnesota, and they kept pressure on Minnesota the entire game. Now, when you look at the score, you're gonna see 22-6. And it was a competitive game, and that's why I put that in the title that we dominated Minnesota, because I really feel like we dominated Minnesota. I felt like we dominated the Vikings this game. I felt like we had control of this game from the start to the finish. There was really no point that I felt like we were going to lose the game. And, trust me, I'm a Falcons fan, so I suffer from all kind of trauma dealing with this team. But there was never a point where I feel like this game is going to get away from us. We're about to lose. I never felt like we were going to lose. I just felt like we were dominating the game, the entire game, from start to finish. Even though we kicked a lot of field goals, and I got to learn our new kicker name. What's his name, y'all? Parker Romo, I think. Shout out to him. He came in early, and he auditioned for the job, which I'm assuming he won. You never know. Maybe they don't want to make a decision just off one game, but he did a great job. He kicked a multitude of field goals today. So shout out to him. But again, I just never felt like John Parker Romo. Thank you, David. I appreciate it. But I just never felt like we were in danger of losing this game. I feel like, we just dominated this game. And then defensively, we played our asses off. Shout out to the defense, man. Shout out to the defense. Shout out to our rookies. Our rookies came in and they played, great football. Man, it was so many of them. I kind of don't want to mention them because I feel like I'm gonna forget somebody. Xavier Watts, Billy Bowman Jr. Getting their first NFL interceptions tonight. So shout out to them. That's a major milestone. I'm sure they took those footballs home and gonna put them somewhere in their house. They both got their first NFL interceptions tonight. Shout out to Jalen Walker also. Shout out to James Pierce Jr. Shout out to Brandon Dorless. All them boys getting their first sacks tonight. First NFL sack. So, man, Leonard Floyd, I'm pretty sure he got a sack also. I think Root got a sack, or he's a half a sack. Man, I don't know when the last time we had so many sacks, I forgot who had sacks. Straight up. I don't know when the last time we had so many sacks, I forgot who had sacks. Normally, when you're dealing with the Falcons, you got 1, maybe 2 sacks, and you don't forget. But we had so many sacks tonight. Shoot, I kind of forgot everybody who had sacks. But our defense was balling for the second straight week. This defense showed up, and they showed out for the second straight week. Man, we held the Vikings to a total of 198 total yards. They did not even get 200 total yards at home in their own crib. And to be honest with you, I won't say it's a fluke, because that is Justin Jefferson, and he did put a move on Xavier Watts. But sure, man, they got like 50 yards in that one play with Jettas. Man, you take away like that 50-yard gain they had, man, shoot, them boys probably sitting at about 140, 150, maybe 160 yards of total offense. Our defense dominated them, man. When they busted out a few good runs here and there, it's the NFL. I mean, you ain't gonna just hold no team to 30, 40 total yards. They gonna get some positive yards, but for the very most part, man, we dominated them boys on our defense. They couldn't get nothing going offensively. We were in JJ's face from start to finish. He saw that Falcon on that helmet, bro. We was causing all kind of confusion to him, and I was just so happy. I was just so elated to see that from our defense, especially the young guys. And I've talked about him a little bit before, but I'm telling y'all, man, that damn Brandon Dorless is a menace, y'all. Brandon Dorless is a menace. He's a menace, man. That dude is a menace. He ain't the biggest thing out there, but boy, he's a menace. And this is only his first year as a full-time starter. He's a menace. I was watching him a lot this game, and he just has a knack of getting off the ball, putting pressure on the quarterback, finding his way in the offensive backfield. He just has this knack of doing that. And I've talked about it a few times already, but his technique that he uses with his hands, he has his lower center of gravity that he uses, and this cat, he's obviously strong. He a little bull. He's obviously strong, but he is a motherfucking menace. I'm telling y'all, Brandon Dorless is a menace. Big Root was out there causing havoc. Big Root was out there just causing havoc today. I'm just talking, man. It just feels good, because week 1, I'm not gonna come in here and cry with spilled milk, but week 1, that's a game that all of us feel like we should have won. That we let that one get away from us. We feel like we should have won, but the defense still played very, very good week 1 at home. Then you get on the road, you go up to Minnesota, and the defense was exceptional tonight. They played even better tonight. I saw Leonard Floyd in the post game said, hey man, I take the performance of this defense, the performance of our pass rushing, I take it personal. I take that personal. We didn't get but 1 sack last week. I took that personal. Like that Michael Jordan thing, I took that personal. And I mean, dog, again, y'all know this. Of course, I'm a Falcons fan. So I'm just, pardon me, I'm just not used to seeing my defense ball out like that, bro. I'm not used to it. I'm not used to just seeing sack after sack, pressure after pressure after pressure, interceptions being thrown, and we catching them. Man, that defense was balling. And it was just like, the offense was moving the ball. We couldn't score. We'll maybe dig into that maybe on tomorrow's show or something. We can score touchdowns. We were just getting field goals. And what I loved about tonight's game, even though we couldn't score touchdowns, it was like the defense, like, it's all good, baby. We got this. Y'all can't get us 6, get us 3. If you can't get us 6, get us 3. And we'll handle the rest. That was like the mentality. That was like the body language I seen out that defense. Hey, it's all good, big dog. Y'all good. Hey, you can't get us 6, just get us 3 on there. Just get us 3. If y'all can't get 6, just get us 3. Every time you get the ball, you get us 3. We will handle the rest. We will handle the rest. Just get us 3. And I seen that mentality from the defense. I'm sitting here like, dog, like, I just know the defense ain't gonna play this whole game balling like this. I just know they ain't. I know they ain't. This the Falcons. This the Falcons. Y'all done fooled me so much in my life. Y'all ain't gonna fool me tonight. I know this defense gonna give up some, and then they're gonna put pressure on the offense to have to step their game up, and they've been struggling to score tonight. So I just know the defense is gonna keep this up. As the game progressed, they got better. As the game progressed, our defense got better. And man, I'm telling y'all, it was such a pleasure to see. And I know AJ went out with, I think, a hamstring injury. And man, I certainly hope he can hamstring. You know, players normally don't bounce back from that in 1 week. But I pray it's something minor, because you know he's a very big part of what we do defensively. But when he was in there, he had your boy Justin Jefferson locked down. When AJ was in the game, he had your boy Justin Jefferson locked down. He was on total capacity lockdown. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about 23 in. You know, he only allowed him to come out an hour to take a shower and hit the yard, but he was on total lockdown. So, man, I pray that it's nothing serious with AJ, because you know we finally get to the point where it looks like we got a defense. You don't want to lose one of your better defenders. You know, you don't want to lose your top cornerback. So, man, hopefully he's okay. You know, that does worry me. So hopefully he's okay. But man, I was just so hyped watching this defense, and I really was hyped watching the whole team. Again, the offense was moving the ball. We just could not get the ball in the end zone. And I will tell you this Penix did not have the kind of day tonight that he had against Tampa Bay. You know, that was pretty obvious. He didn't have that kind of night. But I'm going to say this, especially being, of course, that we won the game. This is the type of game that Michael Penix needed to have, and he was bound to have. And again, he needed to have this game, and it's going to make him better. This kind of game is going to make him better. On the road, hostile territory, you know, somebody finally hit him in the face and put him on the ground and talking shit to him, you know what I'm saying, and laying on him after they sack him and telling him, oh, boy, you ain't shit, you know what I'm saying? You're just a little young pup. You ain't got shit going on, you know what I'm saying? Just treating him like a young quarterback needs to be treated in the NFL. He's going to learn from this game. He's going to grow from this game. He's going to be a better player because of this game. So Penix needed this game. And like I said, I'm glad we had this game and he experienced this game. We were able to come away with the victory because he'll grow from this game. He'll get better from this game. And there was a few times now, in contrast to the Tampa Bay game, when you know, Penix just looked like he had the utmost confidence and he couldn't, you know, you couldn't knock him off his square. Like, yeah, I'm Michael Penix, you know, I've arrived. This game, you could see, how can I say this and be accurate and don't look like I'm trying to be too harsh on my quarterback. I don't want to say you could see him scared tonight, because I didn't see I didn't see at any point that he was scared. But I will say that you could see that maybe timid is the word. Maybe timid is too strong of a word. But you could kind of see a little apprehension from him tonight that you didn't see against Tampa, that you really hadn't saw from him since he's been starting these few games that he's been starting. You saw a little bit of that tonight, when he gets sacked, and then it was time for him to get up off the ground, and they were paying to him. You kind of saw that look in his eyes. The eyes that kind of got a little bigger, like, oh, they hin tonight. Yeah, dog, they hin tonight. They hin tonight. Tampa won't hin you like this, but them boys hin tonight. You know what I'm saying? So I saw that from him tonight, and he need that. He need that, man. This is first year starting, and I said it at least once before. Hey, we got to expect some highs and lows from Michael Penix. Even though I don't feel like he played bad football tonight, that's certainly one of the best that we've seen on Michael Penix. But they came to hit him in the face. You could tell defensively they were like, man, this quarterback Atlanta guy, he think he hot shit, but he just don't know. We're gonna hit him in the face tonight, and we're gonna see how he responds. We go out there, we hit him in the face at least 2 times, he'll start turning the ball over. And props to Mike, he didn't turn the ball over. I do give him props on that, but they made it tough on him. They got an excellent defensive coordinator over there, and it showed tonight. They made tonight tough on Penix, and he needed that. I want him to have them kind of games because he learns from that. I especially want him to have them kind of games when we win the game, and he can learn from that, and we also have the benefit of winning. And that really makes me think that this team is really headed in the right direction, because we can have a game like this where you really kind of get below average production from the most important position on the field, which is a quarterback, and you still can come out here and be dominant. And I'm gonna continue to say that we were dominant tonight, because I do feel like we were dominant tonight. I feel like we dominated that team tonight. You know what I'm saying? I didn't feel like at no point Minnesota was gonna beat us. We controlled that game from start to finish. There are some times and some drives where we're like, oh man, what are we doing? What are we doing? But there was never a time when I'm watching this game and I'm thinking to myself, y'all know how it goes, Falcons fans. We done seen this story at least 2,000 times, mess with these Falcons. But there was never a time when I'm sitting here looking at the game, watching the game, thinking to myself, yeah, we about to lose this tonight. We're going to lose this game. This is a game Atlanta is going to lose. We're going to lose this game. I never had that thought coming to the back of my mind tonight watching this game. I was frustrated that we couldn't score, because I wanted to score. I wanted to put some points on the scoreboard, just for that extra assurance. But there was never a point in time where I was like, man, we're about to lose this game. So I still feel like we dominated Minnesota. They didn't get nothing off, and they were at home. They got absolutely nothing off on us tonight, and they were at home. Now, excuse me. Now, offensively, because I may be a little, I may be a little more critical tomorrow, because I don't want to hamper the spirit of a great victory. And I feel like this is a great victory. This is a very important victory for Atlanta, because I do understand every game ain't gonna be, and I know this is cliche to say, but I understand every game ain't gonna be like a game of Madden, where your offense goes out there and you put up 38, 42, 45, 48 points. Hey, you're going to have some dog fights like this. And this was a dog fight. Make no mistake about it. This was a defensive battle. Y'all defensive guys, y'all defensive experts who love defense. A lot of them come up on this show, like James, Coach, Winston, like the defensive guys. They probably like this game, because they love defense. They probably like, oh boy, that's a good defensive battle right here, though. I want us to win, but them boys playing defense on both sides of the ball. And don't get it twisted. Minnesota did a good job defensively also as well. They didn't do better than the Falcons, but they did a good job also. So for you defensive guys or ladies who just like defensive games, y'all probably enjoyed this, because this was a defensive battle, and I do understand, especially in the NFL, you're going to have these kind of games, and it's very important it's very important, especially for a young team like Atlanta, that we learn how to win these games. Because, there have been decades of me watching this team, and I can only imagine for people who are older than me that we didn't know how to win these games. I've seen more times than I even care to recall or recollect where Atlanta would lose this game because they just didn't know how to win this type of game. This is a grimy game. This was a back alley type of game. It was real grimy. It was real dirty. It was real ugly. It's just a grimy game. And I've seen so many instances of Atlanta just not knowing how to win this kind of game. They would find some way to mess it up. They would find some way not to be able to capitalize and get the victory on the road, and they would mess it up. But to learn how to win these kind of games, when it's a defensive battle, when neither team is just putting up monstrous stats, outside of Bijan. Bijan had a monster game, but you take Bijan's stats away, and nobody lit up the scoreboard for Atlanta on the offensive side of the ball. I think Drake might have had 3 catches. He did have the huge turnover that just took a lot of the momentum away from us in the first half with the fumble. I think Minnesota put 3 points on the scoreboard because of that. But outside of that, I feel like Kyle Pitts gave us some good plays, some good reps, but nobody really put up any big numbers outside of Bijan. Tyler Algier, looking at the stats, he gave us 76 yards. And from your second string back, you will take that. Kyle Pitts gave us 37 yards. Drake London had a total of 49 yards. So offensively, you take away Bijan, and there wasn't a whole lot there. But I'm getting a little off track. But getting back to my point, us winning this kind of game, because I will tell you this. I spoke about playoffs early in the broadcast. When you get to the playoffs, hey, man, you're probably going to experience a game like this in the playoffs. Because, don't get it twisted. I understand the NFL is now a quarterback league, and, they try to manipulate and manufacture everything for the quarterback to put up points, put up stats, and, blah, 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 blah. But, man, when you get in January football, a lot of times you will experience some games like this. You will need to know how to win a game like this to go from the wild card round to the division round, or maybe from the division round to the conference championship game, maybe from the conference championship game to the Super Bowl. Maybe you're playing in the Super Bowl, and you got to figure out how to win this kind of game. I remember there was a game even not long ago when the Patriots beat the Rams. And they just had that real defensive game in the Super Bowl. Y'all remember that? I think the score might have been like 3-9 or 3-10, something like that, something of that nature. You know what I mean? But you need, especially with a young quarterback, he needs to experience this kind of game. This team needs to learn how to win these kind of games. That's been one real heavy piece of criticism that I have had with these Falcons for the longest time. Like, man, they don't know how to finish games. They don't know how to win. Just to be transparent, they don't know how to win. We've seen so many games where, hey, man, we done control the whole game. We up by 8, we up by 10 with only 4 minutes left, but we don't know how to finish. We finished this game. We finished this game. We made plays on defense when plays needed to be made on defense. And let me also give a shout out, because, like I say, man, it's hard for Raheem Morris to get a lot of credit from this fan base, but let's give Raheem some credit because he made a very key coaching call. Was that? It was the fourth quarter. It was either our last drive or the next to last drive. It was 4th and 1, and there was, I forget what yard line we were on, but I think we had just went into Minnesota's territory. And there was some debate on what do the Falcons do? Do they go for it, or do they need to kick it, or what do they do? And we came out in our regular offensive formation. It was like, oh, well, they're going to go for it. I honestly don't think we had any real intention to run a play, but we still came out in our offensive formation, and we got them to jump off sides with a hard count. Michael Penix came up, and they jumped off sides. Automatic first down. That enabled us to ice the game, because Tyler Algier later on ran for a touchdown. He went ahead and he scored on that drive, and that iced the game. Once Tyler scored that touchdown, it was like, okay, this is over. This is over. Even for the Falcons, this is over. This is over. You know what I'm saying? So if Raheem doesn't make that coaching decision, who knows? Who knows? Do I think we still would have won? Yeah. But who knows? This is the Falcons. We can't dismiss that. This is the Falcons. So, just give him his props on that. And like I said, I'm trying not to dig too deep with my criticism, but I'm sure, like I said, we'll probably jump into this tomorrow a little more in detail, but being able to score, what I'm saying, like Zach Robinson, we got to figure out a way to finish these drives with touchdowns. Although I keep saying I'm glad Michael Penix experienced this, you can't make a habit of leaving all the points on the scoreboard. In baseball, they tell you, hey man, we left 10 guys on base tonight. That's why we lost. That's real big in baseball. All y'all baseball heads, y'all know what I'm talking about. If you leaving 10 guys on base, 12 guys on base, you pulling out your hair. Even though I don't have any hair, but that's just something that will drive you crazy. Like, oh, we left all these men on base. We left the bases loaded, and we only had one out, and we couldn't get no runs. That was the equivalent to what we saw tonight. And now we cannot make a habit of doing that. Like I said, we'll probably dig deep into that tomorrow sometime, because like I said, I want to, kind of keep this one on up and up, but gotta figure that out. Zach, I don't know if you and Penix, y'all got to sit down this week and figure this out. Like, hey man, like what's going on when we get in this red zone? Do you need to get Kyle Pitts involved when you get inside the 20? I mean, the guy is 6'6". He is 6'6". You need to get Kyle involved. Do you need to start at that point in time? Because that's when I have noticed defenses they'll start really putting guys in the box, because they anticipate. The Falcons they're going to try to run Bijan, and they're going to try to run a touchdown with Bijan when they get to the red zone. So they'll really start bringing guys in the box at that time. I noticed that a lot tonight. They just automatically assume, they're gonna try to get the ball to their best player. If we were the Chicago Bulls, well, let's put a double team on Jordan, the triple team. We ain't gonna let Mike beat us. If this is today's Lakers, let's put a double team, a triple team on LeBron. We ain't gonna let LeBron beat us. Steph Curry, Durant, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what a lot of these teams are starting to do. We get in the red zone, they're starting to put some guys in the box. Like, nah, we gonna let Bijan beat us. So we gotta figure something out. If that calls for some slip screens for Bijan, play action slip screen, and we gotta figure this out. We really do. I like what I did. I really like what I've seen. I really like what I've seen from Kyle Pitts these first two games. Tonight he had 4 catches, 37 yards. I mean, ain't like he had a huge game statistically, but I'm seeing Kyle be more engaged, And when I say engaged, it's like from a route running aspect, to a blocking aspect, and he looks like he's coming out of the blocks a lot quicker than he did last year. Also, he looks way more explosive than he did last year. And I'm like y'all. I follow some of the Falcons players on their social media, and he was working out a lot, and I'm seeing it early in the NFL. I'm seeing it early this NFL season. And the reason I'm talking about Kyle, because I'm just trying to brainstorm and think of some ways, how we could start converting when we get in the red zone. Again, I was good. I was good with how this game played out tonight. You know what I'm saying? We'll, like I said, we'll be a little more critical tomorrow when we kind of dissect it a little bit more. But I ain't mad at all. I'll take this game. I'll definitely take this game. But we got to figure out this red zone thing, y'all. You can't keep coming down here and thinking 3 points gonna win you the game. You can't do it. This team is going to have to find a way to start getting the ball in the end zone. 6 points, especially a game like tonight when your defense kept setting you up, throwing you these no-look passes, behind the back pass. Oh, here you go. Here go your chance to score 6. Here go another opportunity. Oh, here go another opportunity. We done recover the fumble. Here you go. Turnover on downs. Here you go. So we're gonna have to figure that out. But all in all, y'all, very, very satisfied with tonight's win. And then on top of that, it was on national TV. We did not go out on national TV. They showed this on NBC, right? So this is one of the major networks. It ain't like this NFL network where not as many people see it. But this is early in the football year with even your casual. See, this is at the point of the year. This is not like in December or even November. This is the time of the year when pretty much everywhere across the country, from Compton to Brooklyn to Idaho to Dallas, everywhere around the country, the weather is still fairly nice outside. You know what I mean? It's still nice. The temperature's starting to drop, but hey, it's still nice outside. So everybody is clocked in right now to NFL. We ain't seen NFL in like 6 months, and it's finally back. So even your most casual fan is watching NFL, especially when it come on major network television like tonight. They're all clocked in tonight. Everybody clocked in because, everybody still feel like, hey, man, my team get in the playoffs, blah, blah, blah. So, hey, everybody watching tonight. This ain't like week 15 when you just got some bum teams playing that nobody care about. Oh, man, they should have flexed this game and watched this shit. You know what I mean? Everybody clocked in tonight. So it was great to see the Falcons come out here and handle their business, man. It was great to see because most people outside of us, us against the world, you know what I'm saying? Us against the world as Falcons fans. Most people across the country didn't think we would win. Vegas had us down. Vegas, we were almost a 5-point underdog. The last line I saw when I looked was 4.5. We were the underdog by like 5 points. So people didn't expect us to win, They didn't expect us to win. And we came out here and we really handled our business. We put on a superb defensive effort, man. Them young guys, man, had me kind of feeling like a proud father. You know what I mean? Not that extreme, but you get what I'm saying. Just watching Xavier Wise and Billy Bowman and Jalen Walker. I seen Jalen Walker just playing some very good football tonight. James Pierce Jr. That guy's gonna be a double-digit sack guy. Year 3, he gonna be a problem. He gonna be a motherfucking problem. Brandon Doyle, Big Root, you know what I'm saying? Just the young guys playing well, man. And that makes it easier for guys like Jesse Bates. You know what I mean? They don't have to do all the hard lifting. That makes it easier for Kane Ellis. Kane Ellis ain't got to make 12, 13 tackles. He don't got to have 2 or 3 tackles for losses. And Diablo Divine. That boy played another great game tonight. That boy played another great game tonight. You know, I just hope Diablo can continue to play at this high of a level, because not only does he step up and make impact tackles for us, but he's great in these first two games. He's been great in coverage, and that's something that we have sorely missed in Atlanta for a long time when it comes to linebacker play. I think the last time we had a linebacker that was very good or great in coverage was probably the early years of Deion Jones, Debo. You know what I'm saying? Them first 3 years before Debo got hurt, before he started getting injured, Debo was a hell in coverage, man. That was like having another safety on the field. Debo had damn near more interceptions his first year, 2 or 3 years in the league than any of our real defensive backs did. Oh, Deion Jones was hell on wheels, man, as a coverage linebacker, you know, before he kind of went down into his career and he started getting hurt. But y'all, I'm happy, man. I'm happy with the win. That's why I'm gonna try to keep this upbeat. I ain't gonna try to, you know, nitpick and complain tonight. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm happy with the win. I'm happy with the win. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things we're gonna have to work on as a team. We gotta get better at a good amount of things, you know, to get to the point where this team needs to be. Well, we're gonna be a fucking problem in January. But you know, we can discuss that, you know, on tomorrow's show. As far as tonight, you know, hey, enjoy the dub, bro. National TV, you know, the Minnesota Vikings. You know, that team was a problem last year, man. That team was a fucking problem last year. And we went up there and we spanked that ass. So I'm good with that, man. I'm good with that. Man, this defense, y'all, whew. And I know it's only been 2 games, but I'm a homer, so excuse me. But, man, this defense may be ranked in the top 5 this coming week. You know, now that all the games Monday night haven't been played, but we may have a top 5 ranked defense. Again, I know it's only been 2 games, y'all. You know, I know I look silly and stupid, but I ain't that silly and stupid, you know. But I'd rather have them in the top 10, the top 5 after 2 weeks than have them sitting at 25, 26, 27. You know, I'm just happy that them boys are playing. They playing damn good football on defense, man. You know, it's almost like a dream. You know, like, damn, am I dreaming? Is that our defense? And let me say this too. Don't the damn uniforms that everybody been complaining about since we got them, don't they look so much better when we winning? Them uniforms that white on white were crushing tonight. When we out there winning, we flying around the ball, we getting sacks, we doing our, you know, we doing our 1-2 step. The defense doing their thing after they didn't got a big play. But don't them uniforms hit a lot harder when you winning? They hit a lot. Them uniforms hit hard, but that white on white was hitting tonight. That was hitting that when them lights hit that white. Boy, it hits so hard when you win. When you're losing, they just look like trash. Oh, we need you. We need you new uniforms. We need to get rid of Rise Up. You know, everything is just sky's falling when you're losing. But man, when you start winning, that Rise Up starts sounding better. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Rise Up, dog. Yeah, boy. Rise Up start sounding better. The uniform start sounding better. You know what I mean? The world is a whole lot smoother when you're winning. But when you lose it, man, boy, you want to get rid of everything. You know what I'm saying? You might even want to move the Falcons out of Atlanta and put them next to the Braves out there in Cobb County. Like, man, send the boys out there with the Braves. The Braves went out to the Cobb, but they won the World Series. Send the Falcons out there shit. You know what I'm saying? Put them by the mall out there, goddamn it. Put the boys out there by the goddamn mall out there, man. Yeah. Send their ass to Vinings or somewhere. But, you know, it's everything is a lot smoother when you winning, man. It really is. Like when you start winning, I know we ain't won but one game, but when you start winning, all that stuff becomes insignificant, man. The rise up slogan, you don't give a damn about that. When you going into when the division round of the playoffs start and your team is playing, you don't give a damn what the slogan is. You don't give a fuck. You do not give two shits about a slogan when the division playoffs start. You don't give a damn. You don't care what uniform they got on. When you're in the division playoffs, when you're in the conference championship, you don't give a damn. That's all insignificant to you. You don't give a damn about no slogans. You don't give a damn about. I don't care if they win white on white, black on black. I don't care if they win the Michael Vick jerseys or they win all black Jamal. And I don't give a damn what they wear. Just win. That's what happens when you win it. But when you losing, you become a lot more irritable. Everything starts to like get on your nerves and aggravate you because you're just tired of the team losing. You know, you feel like, well, maybe we do something different. You know, that'll get some of this bad mojo off the team. You know what I mean? But it is what it is, man. Listen, I ain't gonna hold y'all long. It's 12:30. You know, a Monday starts. You know, well, it's official already Monday here in Georgia, but you know, Monday comes tomorrow. You know, another magnificent Monday. You know, so hey, man, I'm gonna say this: the Falcons crushed it tonight, so let's crush this Monday. Tomorrow, let's have us a good, productive week. You know what I mean? Let's be productive all week, and then we will come back tomorrow sometime, and we'll come back and we'll do a show tomorrow, and then you know we'll dissect a little bit, you know, on tomorrow's show. But I didn't want to be a negative Nancy or a Danny Downer. You know, hey man, it's a big win for us. So you know, hey, I'm a good mood, so. No, won't dig into it too much, but I want to thank everybody for coming in, rocking with me. Falcons do win in dominant fashion, so shout out to everybody watching on YouTube. Make sure you hit the like button. Also, shout out to everybody that checked in on Twitter, man. Appreciate the love. We will be back on tomorrow sometime. What time? I have no idea. I need to set a time though, man. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. And just be on the lookout for the channel. But we'll be back tomorrow, man. I'll try to bring the panel up, and that way, you know, we can all dissect the game. But until then, peace out. Much love. Gone.